screen connecting. Okay, so very good evening to you all. Let us start today's section. Hope last week you don't have any questions. In calculations, we have done elasticity calculations. Hope you all have done these calculations. Any problems or questions? So very first
so far, madam.
No problem. Okay. So very first day I explained about the structure of your exam paper and how about assignments and all I have already given. So you have now already two assignments I have given, isn't it? We have to do one assignment. We hope to do it today or tomorrow. I'll give and you can submit these three. Two, I think you have to submit before 27th. Then other one, I'll give you time. During your study leave period also, you can submit if you wish to submit. Okay. Anyway, before the exam, because we need to we need to see whether you are qualified by seeing your continuous assessment marks. Then we can do your final paper. Do you remember very first day I just explained you about the structure of the paper? MCQ and essay. Okay. So let me to start today's lecture. Today we need to do another new section. Hope you all can see the screen.
Yes, madam.
Okay, thank you. So today's section is to learn about theory of consumer choice. So here at the end of the section, you may remember you need to understand the theory of consumer choice and to know how consumer tastes are measured or represented. I think you remember very first day we discussed about utility. Okay, so these all we are discussing today again, just to summarize and just to add it with consumer choice. Then to describe the relationship between money and happiness, then you need to understand how the consumer maximizes satisfaction or reaches equilibrium. Okay, so this section is also very easy and very understandable. I hope you all can understand very well. And describe how consumer tastes or preferences can be inferred without asking the consumer. Okay, so theoretically, we measure what are their tastes and preferences and how they reaches to the equilibrium point and how their tastes and preferences are measured. Okay, so what's the relationship between money and happiness? So consumers' point of view, consumer side, we are discussing this all. Okay, I hope you got the idea of ILO's, intended learning outcomes. If you have any questions, meantime also you can ask, okay, or in the chat box. So now we will see what is the theory of consumer choice. So you can see consumer, this picture says a lot. There are two, let's say, brands. Okay, so consumer, let's say consumer needs these two brands. Then how much from A, how much from B? So mainly decided by many factors. His preferences, his income, price of these products. Okay, so these all factors are affecting when deciding what to purchase. So you may have millions of experience because you all are consumers. So when you are going to buy, let's say, your books, your pens, your clothes, you are thinking about the cost or money and the money you have already. So anyway, you have to spend by using the money available in your hand. Okay, and the price of these products and your choice, your preference. Sometimes you are preferring to buy something, but you are not able to buy. Okay, so remember demand, we discuss willing and the ability. Two things should be there. Let's say in the shop you like to buy an air conditioned machine. Your willingness is there, but you can't buy because money restricts your choice. I mean, you may not able to buy this one. Affordability is the problem, but you have the willingness. Accordingly, I think you remember the demand, we discussed this all. So that is one type of demand side because we are discussing about the consumer's side. Okay. Now briefly here, the theory of consumer behavior. Okay. So in this theory, mainly you need to explain how consumers buy different goods and services. Every time, remember, services also, they are not only goods, services also important when buying decisions by the consumer. Then allocates their income in relationship to the purchase of different commodities. How they allocate their income. Because sometimes if you prefer one good, you may allocate more money for that, even though it's high price. Sometimes you are allocating another product at lower prices because you don't have enough money in your hand. Okay, so these all factors are affecting the decision. So that is the basic idea of consumer behavior. How consumer behaves. Consumer is the person who is consume products. Let's say he is also the customer who purchased the products from the market. Then you can decide their behavior in these cases. They are thinking about the prices, their income, and all other factors affecting to the demand. Okay, now we will see briefly what is the theory of consumer. Okay, so basically you need to study how people decide to spend their money. This is just practical thing. Let's say you are going to the market and you're buying something. Then for this, your preferences are important. Your money in your hand is important. The prices of these other products. Let's say you are willing to buy a book. So what are the prices of different size books? So according to the money available in your hand, you are deciding how many books you are purchasing, at what prices. Okay, so your preference, whether you like this type of book or another type of book. So these are the main two factors affecting your buying decision. Individual preferences, your preference, as well as budget constraints. That means it includes your money in your hand, the money of the goods or services, these all. Okay, let's say service. You are going to take a medical service. So you are thinking for where you are going, in a normal hospital, because you don't want to spend more money. But if you can go for a private hospital or take medicines, if you have money with you. Okay, so these all depends on budgetary constraints, the money with your hand. Hope you all can hear me. If any problem, please inform me. Hello, is
Okay,
it
madam.
clear?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, madam.
Okay, thank you. So this theory of consumer, the learning of theory of consumer is a special branch of microeconomics. It shows how individuals make choice subject to the based on the income they have available to spend the prices of other. I mean, these are the two factors: how much income they have and what are the prices of these commodities, maybe goods or services. Okay, so these two they have to decide based on the money available in their hands. Okay, first one, the income. They have another thing, the prices of goods and services. Okay, now we will see how the behavior of the consumer. That means you may have heard the word rational behavior, because rational behavior means, money is the limited factor for consumers. All don't have enough money with them. So that is scarce and limited factor. But their wants, their demand is, they have many wants, they have many requirements. Therefore, consumers tend to be rational in their purchasing decisions. They can't purchase, just think and purchase quickly. Okay, they have to take the rational. In Sinhala, we called Tarkanvita. Okay, so they decide pros and cons, so everything, then they will purchase things. Okay, so a consumer would spend his money on the best possible way or product that guarantees his utility. I think you remember this term we discussed, or sense of satisfaction, because the main objective of a consumer is to get maximum satisfaction. So satisfaction normally we measured by using their utility. So utility, we told very first day I explained about the utility. We can measure it by utils because no other measurements like kilograms and all. So normally we are giving utils. So I think you remember when you are very thirsty, I told you are given 1 glass of water. So you may drink within 1 second very quickly because you are very thirsty. But let's say you are not in so much thirsty situation, then another glass comes. Then you just drink slowly, but not so much. The satisfaction may decrease than the previous one. Then again another glass, again another. So gradually decreases. We discussed this one in very first time. What is the term we used for that? Huh? Do you remember? We discussed about one theory as well related to utility. Anybody who remember that one? The utility is increasing or decreasing gradually. I remember I got one example related to ice cream as well. Huh? Though you like ice cream very much, when you are continuously getting ice cream continuously, your utility or your satisfaction is gradually decreasing. Sometimes overfeeding may cause you vomiting. Sometimes you may vomit. Okay, so that's why gradually decreasing satisfaction. So what is the term we used for that? Anybody who remembered? Related to utility? Day to day, please be in touch with the subject. Okay, then you don't want special day or special period for study leave. If you remember things in the class itself, just to take idea. I will not ask any definition, please remember, okay? I will ask questions just you to think and write. Okay, don't just practice reading like parrots. Just take the concept and write by your own words. I will not expect the same wordings. You just understand what is the rational behavior. Consumers will think pros and cons and every time spend his money on the best possible way, not just spending idly. So what is the utility theory we discussed? Anybody who remember? Yes, one message come. The state of being useful, profitable. Yes, very good, Sahashna. Diminishing marginal utility. Very good. So we at least one student remember. Okay, Sahasna. So the utility is gradually diminishing or reducing. So that's why we discussed about diminishing marginal utility. But utility and marginal utility. You may remember. Now today also we are discussing about utility. So when extra unit of that, so extra ice cream, extra glass of water gives you diminishing or decreasing utility. So that's why diminishing marginal utility. Okay. So then first one you need to consider, see, rational behavior, budget constraint. Then you need to consider consumer preference. See, individual preference and budget constraints. Now we'll see what are the budget constraints. You all know. We all have fixed, very limited amount of money income, monetary income. Okay? So every consumer faces a budget constraint, even you. Okay? So your parents are giving you money, still you may not have any jobs with you. So you have, let's say you have given 50,000 rupees or 20,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees per month just to spend by your parents. Then you have to use this in a rational way. Otherwise, within a day, you can spend these all money. Let's say you are getting 20,000 per month from your parents. Then 20,000 you can spend within an hour. Okay? If you are not rational. But if you are rational, you can use this in a very productive manner just to buy the things that you want. Okay? So that's why the budget constraint says there is a infinite demand. So the demand is not finishing or stopping or no any other stop point. But you have the limited income. Okay, so that's the main thing. Infinite demand, but limited income. Another way we can say unlimited demand with limited income. Okay, so these all you need to discuss. So 1 minute, Ravindu's question. A budget constraint is an economic term referring to the combined amount of items you can afford within the amount of, very good, Ravindu, yes. That's the way of learning, okay? So you can learn very, very new things when you're doing your purchase decisions, when you're getting your purchase decisions, okay? So every time you have to have this unlimited demands with limited income. That's why we are discussing about budget constraints, okay? So we have to spend, as Ravindu explained very clearly, amount of income available with us to spend. Okay. So here you can see preferences. Now these two terms we have to discuss in consumer theory: individual preferences and budget constraints. Okay. So individual preferences, now we are learning. Each consumer has preference. Let's say here you have nearly 40 students, so all students have different preferences. Okay, so this preference may differ based on which type of goods and services available in the market, and you prefer. Let's say you prefer one thing, but that is not available in the market. Okay. So from the point of agriculture or foods, we'll discuss. Let's say you want to buy a burger, but it's not available in the market. Okay, though you have preferences, sometimes it's not available in the market. Sometimes you don't have money to buy it. Okay, so these all you need to consider. So buyers also have a good idea of how much marginal utility they will get. That means marginal utility is very important in this case. Okay, so every time you have to think about the marginal utility, not the total utility. I think you all remember the difference between the marginal utility and total utility. Okay, so total utility gives you total satisfaction. But marginal utility gives you the satisfaction you gain from the additional unit you consume. Okay, so these two are very important concepts you need to discuss. Okay, so however, you need to discuss the amount of marginal and total utility that the people will get will be different for every individual in the group because all individuals have different tastes and preferences. Okay, so if we take this class, Ravindu's tastes may differ from Bandar. Okay, so if you take different people, Aditya's preference or taste may differ from Tejan. So likewise, different individuals will take different tastes. Please give me 1 minute. One call is coming continuous. Hello? 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 Oh. Okay, so here you have to discuss about the preferences. Then here this your preference and taste may differ from other. Let's say Indunil's preferences may differ from Tejan. So Aditya's preferences may differ from Sasna or Vimandya or any other people in your group. You may have different choices, different tastes. Okay, so accordingly, your utilities, whether it's marginal or total utilities, may differ. Okay, so here you need to discuss about main two theories, I mean two approaches of consumer behavior, cardinal approach and the ordinal approach. Okay, so we discussed about the main thing beside consumer behavior, their preferences and budget constraints. So when they purchase things, these two approaches are important. In cardinal approach, you need to remember the utility is objectively measurable. In cardinal approach, we are discussing utilities measurable by using what? What are the units we discussed to measure utility? Very first day I told. Utils. Okay, utils. So the ordinal approach, just consumer ranking their preferences like this. See, in cardinal utility, for example, one consumer says, pizza gives me more satisfaction as I get 60 utils. They are measuring satisfaction by, let's say, numbers, just 60. After eating it, in comparison to burger, which gives me 40 utils. That is cardinal utility. That means you should remember utility is the imaginary unit by which we measure utility. Your weight, your height, we can measure by using units. But here you can use you can remember very carefully, the utils have no exact units, but utils, the measurement, but it's an imaginary unit. When somebody asks, what are the measurements to measure, what are the measurements you take to measure your utility? You have to say utils. Okay, so anyway, we have to give some number just as a measurement. So that's why pizza gives 60 utils. One person will say burger gives 40 utils. But another person will say, no, pizza gives me only 10 utils, but burger gives me 100 utils. So it depends. That's why I told person to person, it may differ. But in ordinal utility, you can see consumer rank their products or services. My first preference is pizza accordingly, okay? Which gives me more satisfaction than burger. Thus, my preference is burger. So likewise, in cardinal utility, are giving exact utility, the measuring units. But in ordinal, they are ranking their preferences. So I think you can change accordingly what are the products you have, What are the services you have? You can use to describe these things by using cardinal and ordinal utility. Now, briefly, we will see what is the cardinal approach utility theory. This theory assumes that satisfaction can be measured. So, the unit utils, as we explained, it is not exact measure, imaginary measurement. So, two types of utilities, we have discussed this already, total utility and marginal utility. But when it comes with the consumer choice, consumer theory, we are just discussing it again, total utility and marginal utility. Total utility, you know, the total amount of satisfaction. But marginal utility, extra satisfaction that consumer realizes from an additional unit. Okay, so just take an idea, and when I'm asking any question, you can write by using your own word. Total utility, total satisfaction the consumer derived or gained from consuming goods or services. But marginal utility means extra or additional unit gives satisfaction. So you may remember when we studied these utilities, total utilities gradually increasing, but marginal utility is gradually decreasing. That is why we explained that the diminishing marginal utility theory of diminishing marginal utility. Okay, so this is an additional satisfaction. Marginal utility means additional satisfaction that an individual derives from consuming an additional unit of a good or service. Okay, so these formulas I think you all remember. Marginal utility, change in total utility, change in number of units consumed. So these all by using any terms you can use based on your the formula or the graph you prepared for this. For example, because today I will just explain the way of calculating these all, but you have done already. So that's why, let's say one product, okay, any product, these are the quantities. These are the total utilities. So these are the marginal utilities. I think you know how to calculate. Here difference is 15. Here quantity difference, everyone is 1, 1, 1. Then it's easy for you. Okay. So then you need to take the difference between total utility only because the quantity is same. But you should know the process. So if quantities are changing, every time here, let's say here 2. So you need to see the difference and divide by using 2. Then it comes as 7.5. Because your calculations are better than me, I think you all can calculate this marginal utility very easily. So the difference, 15, 28, 30, 28, 29, 39, 11. So likewise, finally 64, then decrease total utility. Okay, gradually increasing and decreasing somewhere. So here it explains very carefully when total utility rises. See, marginal utility is decreasing, but one point comes, marginal utility, total utility gets decreasing. Then at that time, marginal utility becomes minus because dissatisfaction. So this point called as point of stationary. So I think you remember this word as well. When total utility rises, marginal utility falls. See here, total utility rises, marginal utility falls. Then total utility at maximum level when marginal utility 0. See again, total utility at maximum level. Let's say here utilities are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 2, 4, 8. So any numbers are there. So let's say here 8 total utility is maximum. Then you can say marginal utility is 0. It is clear. When total, the next point, total utility in general increases with quantity. If total utility increases, marginal utility is greater than zero. See, when total utility increasing, marginal utility is greater than zero. Because here afterwards it becomes negative values. So here is the zero. So marginal utility is more than zero. Any number comes, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 utils. Okay. So that point is also clear. If total utility decreases, marginal utility is less than zero. See, it decreases, marginal utility is less than zero. Okay. So here that is why every time that point is called as completely satisfied situation, satiety situation. Okay. So see in this graph also it is more clear, point of satiety. At that point, the consumer gets maximum satisfaction. Okay, see. Afterwards, dissatisfaction. So now important point comes to see utility maximization. So it explains how consumers allocate their money incomes among the many of the goods and services available for purchase. Let's say you at that time you are facing a problem that provides you consumers marginal utility and total utility. Let's say consumer having two combinations of two goods only, they have to decide their purchase decision. Then you will be expected to show how many of each a rational consumer would purchase. So every time you need to think the consumers are rational. So how they are purchasing these things. So I'll give you one example, then it's easy for you to understand. Let's say utility maximizing combination of A and B. If you have an income of $10. Okay. So these are the units of the product 1, 2, 3 offers, second, third, fourth, up to 7. And here marginal utilities are given. Marginal utility per dollar, because international monetary units we used just for generalizing all monetary units. So here price is $1, here price is $2. So all are given. No need to calculate. Okay. Let's say the situation is like this. You need to discuss, you need to think where marginal utility of these two products are equal. So by seeing these, tell me how many units of product A or how many units of product B gives equal satisfaction or equal marginal utility per dollar. Just see the numbers. This column and this column are important. So you need to decide which combinations give you the same marginal utility per dollar. If you are getting same satisfaction, you can go for purchasing it. If you need to buy two things, but you need to consider your income as well. You have $10, marginal utility per dollar. These second and fourth columns are important you to decide what is the similar amount of marginal utility per dollar. How many product A, how many product B, sorry. Did you understand my question?
No, tell it again.
Okay, I'm asking which units, how many units of product A and how many units of product B. Now, first I'll say very simply. First, think about second and fourth columns and decide where it gives the same number. Then when you are deciding the number, first you select where it gives same marginal utility per dollar and marginal utility per dollar related to product A and product B. Then first decide which value is same for both. But you need to think about budgetary constraints. How many numbers are coming here? Didn't get the point. Okay, I'll explain again. Okay. Here you can see the algebraic form. Marginal utility of product A should be divided by price of A. Marginal utility of product B should be divided by price of B. Then let's say this also same combination. 8 utils divided by $1. See here, the price is $1. Here, 16 utils. The satisfaction of consuming product B is 16 utils. So price is $2. So optimum achieved means money income is allocated so that the last dollar spent on each good yields the same extra utility or same marginal utility. Okay, so you need to think accordingly. This is the point. Let's say many combinations comes, but let's say here 8. If they purchase at this one marginal utility per dollar, here also 8, here also 8. So here you can see when they purchase 2 units of product A, how many money they need to spend? Product A can unit dekak ganna, 1 unit is $1. Then 2 unit is $2. $2. Very good. Then let's say the same comes here. 4 units of product B. Then what is the amount? 4 unit means how much? $8. Very good. $8 plus $2. Then how about his income? $10. Very good. Now I think you all understood. Okay. So that's why see here many similar point comes. 10, 10, 8, 8, 7 or 7, 6, 6, 3, 3. But you need to decide with the income you have. Okay. Luckily, many of you have understood clearly. Then 2 items of A and 4 items of B is good with their income. Other combinations, they can't go. Sometimes they have not enough money. Sometimes they can't spend all income by using. Let's say we are assuming they have to spend all income. They have to purchase only these products. Okay, so these all are assuming in this theory. So now we will see maximizing utility rule. Okay, so here let's say one service, movie, and one product, t-shirt I took here just to make you understand. Okay, so here at that point, what you can say? How many t-shirts? Here? 0. Very good, 0. Here, 0 t-shirts and 8 movies. And here? 4 t-shirts. Very good. 4 t-shirts and 0 movies. Very good. So in between, there are different combinations you can see. P, Q, R, S, T. Okay. So you need to see what happened here and what happened here. Okay. Then see different combinations are there. Let's say total utility is getting 81 from, let's say point P. I'll just explain one and I think accordingly you can just think. Okay. No need to write these all, but just make you understand. Okay. So let's say at the point of P, see here, 4 t-shirts and 0 movies. So assume they are getting 81 total utility from 4 t-shirts and 0 movies. So the total utility is 81. Normally total utility is given to you in all calculations. But just I am explaining how it gets. Then let's say choice 2, the consumer has at the point Q. Here. Okay. So at the point Q, that consumer has 3 t-shirts and 2 movies. See? 3 t-shirts, 2 movies. Okay. So at that time, let's say total utility is 63. So 3 t-shirts and 0 movies. No, sorry. 3 t-shirts and 2 movies. Okay. So accordingly, let's say total utility is given to you all. Then let's say at the point Q, you can see while moving in the line, let's say from here to here, you are just losing movies and adding t-shirts. Okay, so here continuously from here to here. When you're moving from T to P, gradually you are sacrificing purchase of movie and instead you are buying t-shirts. Okay, so these are the concepts you need to remember. Of course, these are all just giving more explanation of these total utility and marginal gain and loss. Then just imagine if t-shirt cost price is $14 and movie cost is $7 and the person's income is $56. Okay, so at that point, see, I have done all calculations for you because last time you have done enough calculations. So, but please practice with different numbers. Okay, so quantity of t-shirts are given, total utilities are given because normally utility is given to you with utils, and then you need to know how to calculate marginal utility. Then luckily all this difference is same 1. Total utility divided by the quantity. 1 minute. My lecture okay, so then you need to decide how many marginal utility. Here 1, 2, 3, 4 like this quantities changing 1. Then only marginal utility. Clearly you can say just difference in total utility. Here 22, here difference between 42 and 22, 41, 21, here 20, 80, 18, 16, 14, 12. See, diminishing marginal utility. It didn't reach to minus yet. Okay. So then marginal utility per dollar, I told t-shirt is $14 and this movie is $7. Okay, then you can decide when it comes equal. Luckily here only one value comes similar values. Okay, then let's say one t-shirt $14. Okay, so at the equilibrium point, the consumer can take one t-shirt and how many movies? How many movies? 6 movies. Okay, then 6 movies. See the cost. Calculate the cost here. So if one movie is 7, how much about 6 movies? One movie is the cost of one movie is $7. What's the cost of 6 movies? Hello? Very simple mathematics.
42.
Very good, 42. Then let's say one t-shirt is $14. Okay, then here one t-shirt and 6 movies. What is the total amount? Yes, Ravindu's answer correct. How much total? If the person buy one t-shirt and 6, he will go for 6 movies. Then what is the total amount he should spend? If t-shirt is $14 and movie is $7. What is the total?
56.
Very good, 56. So that's why, see their income, 56. So automatically when you are calculating these values, when the marginal utility per dollar equals means their total satisfaction is equal, then they can share or they can use their total income by splitting money between these two products, one t-shirt and $6. So how 6 movies. So what is the base of deciding this? You have to decide the marginal utility per dollar or per rupee should equals in both cases. At that time, you can decide how many how many money they can spend on this. Okay, so this you can calculate by yourself as homework and see, just practice. Okay, so this unit marginal utility, what is the marginal utility per dollar? Here also marginal utility per dollar, and decide at what time these two values are equal. Then at that time, see whether they can purchase these two by using $20. Okay, hope till now the concept is very clear to you all. Any questions till now? Understood. Okay, thank you. So this is again, I just pointed out law of diminishing marginal utility. Please refer first day lectures. And assumptions are there in the law. So with that also we discussed that day various units of goods are homogeneous, we are thinking, not heterogeneous, different characteristics they have. Okay, we are assuming all are homogeneous. That's why we go for one while sacrificing other. There is no time gap between consumption of different units. We are thinking no time change, because you know time to time their preference will change. But we are assuming no time gap. Consumer is rational. So aim is to maximize the utility. Taste, preference, and fashion remain unchanged. You know, your today fashion, your today taste, your today preference is not tomorrow. Okay, but we are assuming in this low diminishing marginal utility, they remain unchanged or constant. Consumers possess perfect knowledge of the price in the market, but normally not like that. Okay, consumers have no perfect knowledge. Sometimes they are other people are cheating, the producers or other middlemen. Here, okay, one gap should be there, no price change. So we are thinking no price is not change till our the period, or maybe we mentioned different prices here. All product at dollars. But you know, sometimes this week's price is not like next week price. Okay, but we think that price remains same. And it assumes law of diminishing marginal utility. Marginal utility is gradually decreasing, we are thinking. And utilities of different commodities are independent of each other. Sometimes, you know, one utility is just, if it is not independent, it depends on other products utility. Okay. So let's say you are eating ice cream, meantime you are taking toffees or chocolate or something. So then your utility may change. Okay. Sometimes after taking 2, your utility will not, after taking 2 ice creams, your utility may differ when you are eating both ice creams and chocolate. So sometimes after taking 1 ice cream, your utility may decrease because you are getting too much other products. So that's why different commodities are independent. Chocolate independent, your ice cream independent, toffee is independent. Okay. Then this graph also you may remember initial utility and diminishing and 0 and minus. Okay, we explained nicely. And in the ordinal approach, I think you all remember, it explains consumer can rank their. Now, this cardinal case from here, all are cardinal. Okay, I think you remember these two approaches, cardinal and ordinal. So cardinal utility, we discussed about diminishing marginal utility, utilities, maximizing utilities, and all. Now we are moving to ordinal approach. It gives the ranking of their preferences. Okay, so no need to remember these definitions, just for giving you understand. Okay, I will never ever ask definitions. I don't want to produce parrots. Just take the idea and write the answer by your own words. Only you need to practice calculations, because calculations you have to do to take the accurate answer. Okay? Then assumptions are there in the ordinal approach. Normally, rational behavior of consumer, utilities, here thinking ordinal, because before we think that cardinal, it can be measured. But here it is ordinal, it cannot be measured, because it is the diminishing marginal rate of substitutions we are assuming. Marginal rate of substitution. We are doing I am showing you some calculations as well here. How marginal rate of substitution. Very first day also we discussed these things in brief. So consistency in choice. Choices are consistent, no change. And transivity in choice making. Okay, every time you can transfer your choice. If you don't like this, you can go for another. So goods consumed are substitutable. All goods we are assuming substitutable. We can substitute. Okay, you remember substitute goods. Butter and margarine, tea and coffee. Okay, they can substitute. One can substitute for another. So that's why ordinal behavior of utility. So here it comes, in ordinal behavior, indifference schedule comes. I think you all know, let's say people have more combinations. In combination A, they have 15 apples and 1 mango. Okay, in indifference curve. That means indifference schedule is the list of various combinations of commodities which are equally satisfactory to the consumer concerned. Indifference. Let's say, after taking 15 apples and 1 mangoes, and 11 apples and 2 mangoes, 8 apples, 3 mangoes, that means the same satisfactory levels to consumer. So different indifference curves comes based on the change of their preferences. Okay. So here you can see the indifference curve. They give here, let's say 15 apples and 1 mango. Give the same satisfaction if they take, let's say here, 10.8 mangoes, 11.8 mangoes and 8.2. Here, let's say full figure. 12 apples and 2 mangoes give the same satisfaction if you take 15 apples and 1 mango. If you take 6, let's say here, 6 apples and here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 mangoes, it gives same satisfaction. So along the indifference curves, consumer gets the same satisfaction. That's why you need to keep in your mind. Okay. So indifferent maps comes all indifference curves in the indifference map. Okay. But each point on higher curve gives higher satisfaction. Very easy. If you take the concept, all are there. See? Here more satisfaction, high indifference here, but you need to remember only 2 points. Along the curve, different combinations gives the consumer same satisfaction along the curve. But different curves give different satisfaction. For example, when it moves up means more satisfaction. Then I see one indifference curve give less satisfaction than IC3. IC3 gives more satisfaction than IC2. IC2 gives more satisfaction than IC. Okay, I think it's also clear. If you have any questions, meantime, please ask. So here, now we will see briefly marginal rate of substitution. So marginal rate of substitution, the maximum amount of one good a consumer will sacrifice to obtain one more good of another. Okay, I think you remember these small calculations we have done. Change of y, change of x, or change in y, change in x in words. Okay, so marginal rate of substitution. If two lines are there, two axes, we are changing y, changing x, and we'll see, let's say, marginal rate of substitution of x for y. We are substituting x for y. This is the term we can use. MRS x for y is the amount of y that can be given up for obtaining each additional unit of x. So by using your own word, you can say extra unit of x. Okay, to get the extra unit of x, how much we have to sacrifice, how much y need to be sacrificed or given up. Okay, by using your own word, but take the idea. Okay, then for example, here you can see combinations are there, good x, good y. Okay, here to sacrifice one to gain one good, let's say here 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Difference is 1, 1, 1. To gain one x, how much good y should be sacrificed? See here, good x is increasing, good y is decreasing. That means to gain one good, how many units of x sacrificed? Change of y divided by change of x. Change of y means? Change of y, how much? Hello? Hello?
4.
Very good, 4. Change of x?
1.
1. Then,
1.
yeah, marginal rate of substitution is 4 to 1. 4 units of y sacrificing to take x, 1 unit of x. Here, 3 units of y sacrifice to get 1 unit of x. Because here, x for y. Here, 2 units of y sacrifice to get 1 unit of x. Here, 1 unit of good y sacrificing to get 1 unit of x. Okay, so I think you all remember how to get MRS, marginal rate of substitution. Okay, so these are the way of calculating and just showing it graphically. Okay, anything you can do accordingly and you can prepare the graph. See, change of, here you can take change of y axis. Change. Here you can take change of x. Again, change of y, change of x. Okay, accordingly you can write marginal rate of substitution. Now we'll see what are the main properties of indifference curve. You know, indifference curves are negatively sloped. See, here also negative because we are sacrificing one to get one. Okay, see all indifference curves. Sorry. See here negatively sloped like demand curve. Okay, so here one assumption, one characteristic or property, difference curves are negatively sloped given a combination of commodity x and y. With every increase in x, the amount of y should fall. So here it's very clear to you all. Okay? To get 1, we have to sacrifice 4. To get 1, we need to sacrifice 3. To get 1, we need to sacrifice 2. To get 1, we need to sacrifice another 1 of y. Okay, so then one thing is every combination should remain the same in one indifference curve. There negatively sloped. Second property, indifference curves are convex to the origin. See here, when I am just changing, I will just change, some space should be there. Indifference curves are concave means here. But here you can see convex to the origin, the shape. Okay? Because you know why it is convex. You are the same as previous we explained. Gradually one is reducing and other is increasing. Here commodity Y is gradually decreasing and X is gradually increasing up to here. Okay, so that's why it is convex. But if it's concave, like you may remember production possibility curve. Okay, like this. So we can't draw it like this because here diminishing marginal utility is also there here if we consider the cardinal approach. But ordinal approach we are discussing about indifference curves. Third property, indifference curves can never intersect. See here you can see. Let's say one indifference and another indifference cannot touch, cross like this. Why? Because one indifference curve gives same satisfaction. But if it goes up, what will happen? If this gives same satisfaction, this gives same satisfaction, before it more than that, and after that it is lower than that. It cannot be happen. That's why intersection would indicate two different levels of satisfaction, which is impossible. This is lower satisfaction and higher satisfaction. But same indifference curve cannot give higher in one part and lower in another part. Okay, I think you can easily remember this. And second one, fourth property, first one, negatively sloped, convex to the origin, never intersect. Fourth one, higher indifference curve represent higher level of satisfaction. See, same one meaning is giving different ideas. The same way, you know, higher indifference curves gives higher satisfaction. Okay. And fifth one, indifference curves do not touch to the horizontal or vertical axis. See, it will never touch. Never touch. If we consider the indifference curves, because every time here, if indifference curves, if we put here the commodity Y is, let's say, 100, but commodity B is here 0. Okay, so that's why we are not thinking because one should sacrifice to gain other. So when you're drawing, you should not touch these two axes because it's one of the properties of the indifference curve. And sixth one, indifference curves for substitute and complementary goods are different. Okay, you should remember for the substitutes, it is just straight line because one is substituting for another. But for the complementary goods, you can see you know different substitutes and complementary, both we discussed. So in perfect complements, you can see complementary goods, it is not like straight lines because one is reducing means other also reducing. Pen and ink pen, shoes and let's say socks. Okay, if one is reducing means other also reducing. So indifference curves are like this. So gradually, let's say quantity of left shoes and quantity of right shoes. Okay, so same are going together. So when one is reducing, and let's say in this indifference curve, one, it comes parallel to the y-axis, then it goes parallel to the x-axis because one is depend on other. But here substitutes, you can see gradually the curves are sloping down with straight lines because one can substitute another. But complementary goods, these two goes together every time. Okay, so you should remember these properties, indifference curves may differ, the shape is differ related to complementary and supplementary goods. Okay, so these are the basic things we discussed related to the utility and their indifference curves. Now you know we discussed the budget is very important. So budget explains to budget line. That is graphical presentation of all possible combinations of households purchases of two goods in their prices and fixed amount of money to spend. Okay, so here you can see the budget line represents the maximum amount of goods the consumer can afford. Okay, for example, just understand very carefully, the consumer consumes $40 which he wants to spend on two goods. Let's say X and Y only. The price of good X is $2 and good Y is $1. The consumer can spend on any of the alternative combination of good X and Y. However, if he spend his total income only on good X or good Y, he can buy only 20 or 40 units because he's here 2 units, $2 here, $1. Income is 40. Okay, so this is not possible because he has to buy only a combination of two goods, not only Y or not only X, because that's why we told no touching these two lines here. Not only commodity Y only, not only commodity A, B. Here in budget constraints, they need to consider they have to buy two goods with budgetary constraints. Okay, so he will buy these combinations. See, combination, several points are there. Units of X are given, units of Y are given. Okay, so this is unit is $2 and unit is $1. Okay, so here let's say the budget line is this. You have this money only. Okay, then apart from that, let's say that person needs to buy this much. Let's say here 9 units of product A and let's say here 13, 15 units of product B. It is unattainable because he doesn't have money for that. But here only it's attainable under the budget because that is the budget constraint, budget line, the prices of two goods. Okay, so this okay, so an increase in income makes purchase of more goods. Okay, you know that point. And another point, price changes to purchase more and more goods. Okay, so these two things are important, increase income and price changes, or income changes and price changes. Okay, so that's why changes in budget line, two things are there, price changes or income changes. When income changes, it parallel shift to the budget line. I'll explain it later on. Then price changes, change the slope. Then you can see when see my cursor parallel the budget line. Let's say budget line is here, parallel to other. It goes like this. But relative to the price of other good, change of slope. Let's say here high slope, low slope. You may remember that we discussed about inelastic, elastic, like this situation. Okay, the graphs. So that is the change the slope. So if the change of the slope of the budget line happens when price changes, the parallel shift happens only the income changes. Okay, understand these two very carefully. Let's say change in the price. If consumers' income does not change, but price of good and exchange, X and Y change, then slope of the line change, not the shift. Okay, here one example. Suppose consumers' income is $40 and the price of good Y $1 remain constant and price of good X falls from $2 to $1. See, income is fixed, but price of good is changing. So budget line will rotate outwards from point B. So here the explanation. See, 40, but prices are changing. Prices change the price only for X, good X. What happened? The price increase or decrease? Decrease from 2 to 1. When price decrease, quantity they can purchase more. Let's say initially this one, when with the price changes, that means in decreased price, demand theory. Price is reducing, more and more demand. Then with the same budget. So just expand up to 40. So the number we can decide, just think the concept. When the price decrease, quantity demand increase. Okay, then budgetary constraint goes here. Then he now purchased the maximum 40 units as shown in that figure. If the product of X increase from 2 to 4, what will happen? Then vice versa. Then if price increase, the quantity demanded should decrease. Then it reaches to L1. See, with L, how it rotate to L2 and rotate to L1 when changing the price of X. So again, the same way, when change of the price of Y, you can see the same way. Okay, if you know the concept, you can just take I took this all from the internet, that's why it's somewhat not clear. Anyway, I just make it more clear and send you all. So you can see in other way when Y changes, the same way. See here, here, there are 3 lines. Okay, so change in income. Now we'll see here change in price of X and Y. Here change in income. Price of X now other way. Price of X remain constant, consumer's income or budget changing. So here the shift, because now they can purchase both X and Y. Okay. Okay. One request comes, slowly explain. Okay, very good. I thought since these are common things you can understand. Okay, I'll just explain again. Here, when let's say initial budget line is like that. When the price of good is decreasing, this should shift to left or right. Just decide this if this is the initial budget line. With the increased price of X, let's say price of X is increasing. X ready. Then the budget line will move to right or left. Left. Very good. Left. Because increased price makes low demand, reduce demand. But decreased price makes demand more and more. Then budget line rotates from here to right. If price is decreasing, it rotates left if price is increasing. Now understood clearly? Change of price? Kavindu?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Now changes in income, you can remember shifting all budget line, because if your income is changing, you can purchase both more and more good Y and good X. See here, only this much, here only this much, here is well. That means this income is more than this income is less than this income is less than this. So these are the graph when changing the income. Then you can see consumer's equilibrium point. How to find this equilibrium point or utility maximization point with budget constraints. First, we discuss about equilibrium and utility maximization point by using marginal utility. Now with that, now we are combining all utility, budget, and the equilibrium. Okay. So you need to remember a consumer is in equilibrium when his taste and price of two goods, he spend a given money income or income on the purchase of these two goods in such a way to get the maximum satisfaction. Okay. Then at the tangent, when it touches two lines, utility maximization point on the budget line tangent to an indifference curve. Okay, you can see marginal rate of substitution. You know how one is sacrificing to get other. Marginal rate of substitution. So it should equals to price ratio at that point. So that is the rule we apply in tangent. When I'll just show you. See here. This is indifference curves you learn. This is budget line you learn. So just imagine there are many thousands of indifference curves. There are many budget lines. But some points may come where the budget line and the indifference curve touches. Okay, so at that time, let's say this is the equilibrium point occurs when budget line touches the indifference curve. Okay, so here different points comes. Now we need to see the maximum point. See here, it is clear. When it comes more curves, it's not so clear, but here you can see equilibrium occurs when the consumer selects the combination which reaches the highest attainable indifference curve. It should be attainable in this level, in this side, not unattainable level. Okay, so here you can see more clearly this is the equilibrium. Indifference curves, budget line, it gives with the income, with the satisfaction, they are getting the equilibrium point. Okay, so the same way now price changes. Price increases. When price increases, this curve shift to left. The same thing we discussed earlier. Okay, so this is the indifference curve. This is the budget line. This is the equilibrium point. But when the price of B increases, means the budget line shifted to the left. Okay, so the price of B is increasing, budget line, is shifting to the left, then it, not shifting, okay, don't use the word shift, the rotate. See, budget line rotate from here to here because income is fixed. Okay, that's why rotating. Shifting occurs when income changes. Okay, see, I want to show here the attainable level, attainable section. We need to discuss the equilibrium point. The budget line rotates, reflecting the reduction in the quantity B units, which is attainable. Okay, with this budget line, though it's equilibrium point, it is not attainable because budget is not there. You may remember previous combinations we gave. Okay, so with the budgetary constraints, with the indifference of satisfaction, this is the maximum point they can reach. That's why we told at that point they can purchase, let's say, 5 quantities of A and 3 quantities of B. Okay, that's why very first time we explained in this cardinal approach different combinations of good. Okay, some combination comes C, some combination comes, sometimes they can't take with the budget lines, but sometimes they can take with the remaining budget. See, here it's more clear. See, different similar conditions comes 10, but with the budgetary constraints, it's difficult. That's why we took this exactly same to the budgetary limits. So these all we discussed, and changing income, then that's why we can think about the attainable level only. Though many millions of combinations can come like these points, equilibrium points, but it's not attainable. First of all, we need to decide the budget line and the indifference curves. Then when it touches during the attainable, at the attainable zone, then only consumer can decide how many units of A, according to this graph, how many units of B should be purchased. Okay. So when you consider the slopes of the indifference curves and budget lines that we explain now, so if you need to discuss these all, clearly you should remember, as I explained earlier, marginal rate of substitution should be equals to the price ratio at that point. Okay, so here consumer equilibrium means in order to display the combination of two goods X and Y that the consumer buys to be in the equilibrium, let's bring the indifference curves and the budget line together. Okay, indifference map comes, that means different combination of indifferent curves makes indifference map. Budget line shows the money that consumer can spend with related to the prices of different goods. If there are two goods, both goods. Okay, now I'll show one example. This figure. See, different indifferent curves are there. IC1 to IC5. So this is, let's say, the budget line. Here, one line I got just you to explain. Okay. So here, indifference curve with 5 indifference curves makes indifference map. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. Alone with the budget line PL for good X and Y. You see, indifference curve, good X and good Y. These all are there in the graph. So what we need to decide from the figure, we can see that the combinations of R, S, Q, T and H cost the same to the consumer. See, here, these all points, when it touches the indifference curve and the budget line, same cost. If we purchase this amount of Y and this amount of X, this amount of Y and this amount of X. So in this, but throughout the budget line, consumer get the same cost. He has to spend same money. In order to maximize the level of satisfaction, consumer will try to reach the highest indifference curve. Okay, but you should know the indifference curve should be there in the attainable zone. Otherwise, many indifference curves are there. Okay, so highest indifference. So since we assume a budget constraint, he will force to remain the, let's say here, see, different budget, different points are there, but he need to stay in the IC3 budget line here, the indifference curve. Though it gives more satisfaction in IC4 and IC5, it doesn't allow him to stay in these curves because budgetary constraints is this one. Clear that one? Hello? So accordingly, they can decide which combination to be chosen. Hello? Clear to you that one with the graph? Hello?
Yes, madam. Clear.
Okay, very good. And next you can see, look at the combination S lying on the curve IC2. See, IC2, let's say S. This is the indifference curve. Two points are touches the budget line T and S. Now please see S lying on the curve IC2. So here again, he can reach a higher level of satisfaction within his budget by choosing the combination of Q lying on IC3. IC3, Q. Okay, so these are the things you need to explain. IC2, there are 2 points, S and T. IC3, there is only 1 point, such as the budget line Q. Okay. Then higher interval. The argument is similar for the combination of T, since T lies on the curve IC2, as I explained earlier. See, T and S, same indifference curve IC2. So the consumer is problematic. He is thinking whether to choose T, S, or whether to choose Q. So what are you thinking? Whether to choose S or T or Q? What should be selected and why? Anybody of you? If you are a consumer, you need to select out of these points. Let's say S, Q, T. What are you selecting? What is feasible to select? Practical situation. Which point? Hello? Which point to be selected? Out of S is there here, T is there, Q is there. Let's say we are having all Q, S, R, T, H. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points are there. Out of these points, as you think, what is the best possible and feasible situation? Which is the point that gives him maximum satisfaction as well as between the budgetary limits? Look at the point.
Q.
Very good, Q. Because, yes, messages also coming. Yes, Ravindu, very good. So here you have to think the budgetary constraints and indifference curves both. Here we did calculations. Now the same we are showing by using graph. Okay. Very good. Hope some got understood. Otherwise, please ask. See, therefore, we left with the combination Q. Okay. So, what happens if he chooses now? If we decided to choose combination Q, So this is the best choice since Q lies on his budget line and puts him on the highest possible indifference curve. These two words are important. Highest but possible. See, highest one is IC5 accordingly, but it's not possible. I41 also more than IC3 satisfaction, but it's not possible. That is the highest possible indifference curve that he can reach. That is the combination. Let's say here 10 units of good Y or maybe 5 units of good M. It depends according to the data. Okay. So this all I explained the same. Where there are other higher curves, IC4, IC5, they are not beyond his budget. They are beyond his budget, more than the budget. Therefore, he reaches the equilibrium at point Q on curve IC3. So the same explanation, notice that at that point, the budget line PLEC is tangible to the indifference curve IC3. So here it explains like this. You can read the things. I'll explain what it's there. So let's say here at the point Q, you can see clearly how many amount of good Y and how many amount of good X is purchasing. So obviously, when this is same, touches means the indifference curves and budget line is same. So at that point, you can see same satisfaction and same budgetary conditions. So that's why, remember, when we did calculations, this both came in same way. You may remember in this calculations we have done here. We have different combinations, but when it comes same values, automatically it gives it satisfied with the available budget. Exact budget came here, as I remember, 56 or something. Yes, 56. Okay, so the same calculations now we are showing with graphs. Okay. Hope you can leisurely read these words, then take the idea. Okay, don't use the same words I used here, just to give you satisfaction, understanding only. So as a summary, we can say marginal utility of X divided by marginal utility of Y should equals to price of X divided by price of Y. See, here also marginal utility X, here also price X. Not changing the denominator and numerator. Here PY, MUY, MUX, PX. Okay, so this is the equation. So now you know how this equation came and what is the rationale behind it. Okay, so we can say that consumer's equilibrium is achieved when the price line is tangential to the difference curve, or when the marginal rate of substitution of goods X and Y is equal to the ratio between the prices of these two goods. Okay. So is it clear that equilibrium point? Okay, I'll ask one question then. The indifference curve should be convex to the point of origin at the consumer equilibrium point. True or false? Very easy question. What's your answer? 50% chance. True or false? Indifference curve should be convex to the point of origin at the consumer equilibrium point. True or false? No idea. Just imagine the graph. Indifference curve should be convex to the point of origin. That means zero level. At the consumer equilibrium point. See, consumer equilibrium point is this one. What is the shape? Convex. Maybe terms you need to learn. Okay. This is true because this is convex, not concave, this side. Okay. So the statement is true. Yes. Yes. Vimadya, very good. You just messaged me. I didn't see. Okay. So at the point of consumer equilibrium, the marginal rate of substitution of the good must be falling for consumer's equilibrium to be stable. Okay, so that's the answer. So we'll continue the rest relationship between money and happiness tomorrow. Okay, this is easy. So there are several steps and findings are there. But quickly, I think that one also I can finish because this is only theory. Okay. So normally the relationship, past researchers found that happiness and the income. Okay. When they have more income, they have more happy. Okay. Because let's say they got injury or something. So they can take medicine quickly. They have money. Okay. So Latin American countries and Middle East countries, especially, they did. Perhaps in Sri Lankan situation also we can observe the same. But happy cannot purchase by using money. Okay. But normally researchers found that that is the International Day of Happiness, 20th March. Mindful, grateful, and be kind. These are the things they used this time. Maybe we are not knowing the happiness day has passed. Okay. So mindful, grateful, kind. Okay. First one, relax your breathing. And that is mindful. Then look around you. Then you have to see whom should I love? Okay. So that is, many researchers found that the positive relationship between these two. Okay, so these all explain about the research. You can read. And some research findings are given. The recent findings are also given. Mind may not necessarily but happiness. By happiness, it reduces the intensity of stresses. So this is normal points. Okay. So key points to memorize: consumer theory study of how people decide to spend their money based on their individual preferences and budget constraints. Building better understanding of individuals' taste and income is important because these factors impact the shape of the overall economy. Consumer theory is useful but not perfect. Why? Based on assumptions. Now we will see theory of markets tomorrow, but meantime, please read and come up with questions. Okay? Hope you all at least understood slightly just the thing or message I need to emphasize. Hashani? Understood?
Yes, madam.
Okay, Ravindu, clear?
Yes, madam.
Okay, thank you. Then hope to see you tomorrow. Good night.
Okay, good night, madam. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Please read and come with questions tomorrow. Okay.
Recording stop.